Hello everyone, welcome you all in my YouTube channel. This is the seventh video of the series AZ-900 exam. Coming to the question number 91. You have an on-premises application that sends email notifications automatically based on a rule. You plan to migrate the application to Azure. You need to recommend a serverless computing solution for the application. What should you include in the recommendation? A. Web app. B. Server image in Azure Marketplace. C. Logic app. Or D. API app. So correct option is C, Logic app, as we have to recommend a serverless computing solution for the application, and Azure Logic app is a serverless computing solution. Coming to the question number 92, you plan to deploy a website to Azure. The website will be accessed by users worldwide and will host large video files. You need to recommend which Azure feature must be used to provide the best video playback experience. What should you recommend? A. Application Gateway. B. Azure Express Route Circuit. C. A Content Delivery Network (CDN). D. An Azure Traffic Manager profile. So, in order to provide access worldwide and host large video files, so the Azure feature must be option number C, a Content Delivery Network (CDN). Coming to the question number 93, your company plans to deploy several million sensors that will upload data to Azure. You need to identify which Azure resources must be created to support the planned solution. Which two Azure resources should you identify? Each correct answer present part of the solution. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point. Options given are Azure Data Lake, B. Azure Queue Storage, C. Azure File Storage, D. Azure IoT Hub, or option E. Azure Notification Hub. So what the question says? Question says that our company planning to deploy several million sensors that will upload the data to the Azure, and we have to select which Azure resources must be created to support the planned solution. We have to select any two Azure resources. So correct options could be option A, Azure Data Lake, and option D, Azure IoT Hub. Coming to the question number 94, your company plans to deploy an AI solution, artificial intelligence solution in Azure. What should the company use to build, test, and deploy predictive analytics solution? So, as we all know, in order to find artificial intelligence solution for deployment, so option given are option A, Azure Logic App, B. Azure Machine Learning Designer, C. Azure Batch, or option D. Azure Cosmos DB. Correct option should be option B. Azure Machine Learning Designer in order to deploy AI solution in Azure. Coming to the question number 95, what can you use to automatically send an alert if an administrator stops an Azure virtual machine? Option A, Azure Advisor. Option B, Azure Service Help. Option C, Azure Monitor. Option D, Azure Network Watcher. And correct answer should be option C, Azure Monitor. That will automatically send an alert if an administrator stops an Azure virtual machine. Coming to the question number 96, a team of developers at your company plans to deploy and then remove 50 virtual machines each week. All the virtual machines are configured by using Azure Resource Manager templates. You need to recommend which Azure service will minimize the administrative effort required to deploy and remove the virtual machines. What should you recommend? Option A, Azure Reserved Virtual Machine Instances. Option B, Azure Dev Test Labs, option C, Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets, or option D, Azure Virtual Desktop. Since in order to configure the Azure using Azure Resource Manager template, the correct option is option B, Azure DevTest. That will help us to minimize the administrative effort required to deploy and remove virtual machines. Coming to the question number 97, which service provides serverless computing in Azure? Option A, Azure Virtual Machine. Option B, Azure Function. Option C, Azure Storage Account. Or option D, Azure Dedicated Host. Since we are talking about serverless computing and that is provided by Azure Function, so correct option is option B, Azure Function. Coming to the question number 98, you plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines. You need to ensure that services running on virtual machines remains available if a single data center fails. What are the two possible solutions? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Option A, deploy the virtual machines to two or more availability zones. Option B, deploy the virtual machines to two or more resource group. Option C, deploy a virtual machine to a scale set. Or option D, deploy a virtual machine to two or more regions. Basically, the question says that we have to ensure that if a virtual machine if a data center fails, the virtual machine remains available. In order to provide high availability, we will use option A and option D. That is, deploy a virtual machine to two or more availability zones and deploy a virtual machine to two or more regions. Coming to the question number 99, what is the most severe failure from which an Azure availability zone can be used to protect access to Azure service? Option A, physical server failure. Option B, Azure region failure. Option C, storage failure. या फिर option D, an Azure data center failure. And correct option is option D, Azure data center failure. Coming to the question number 100, you need to purchase a third-party virtual security appliance that you will deploy to Azure subscription. What should you use? Option A, Azure subscription. Option B, Azure Security Center. Option C, Azure Marketplace. Or option D, Microsoft Store. That correct option is option C, Azure Marketplace.